Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's daily brief. I don't think I blogged out yesterday's broiler chicken show, so I'll probably just throw this daily brief and yesterday's broiler chicken show video on the same blog post. But anyway, welcome back to the insanity. Never a dull moment in this space, that's for sure. If anything, what I really like, and I'm warming to the idea, is let's keep an eye now on coins that are quoted in US dollars, and let's start looking for setups in various coins in US dollars. And I'm feeling like maybe Bitcoin has gotten a little ahead of itself and needs to consolidate a bit. If anything, I'm just sort of suggesting that maybe let's cool our jets on the runaway bull market just for now. So just a quick overview there. So lots of stuff going on. I mean, we banged off a huge win on the pot coins here earlier this morning. I was so pleased to see that. Hard efforts being rewarded, patience and discipline literally clipped the market for, geez, a better part of 2/3 of a Bitcoin here this morning. So I was very, very pleased to see that. And really, if anything, this is just sort of like slow and steady wins the race. We're here to run a business of trading and simply reward ourselves when these things move. So super stoked, lots of fun, never a dull moment. If anything, really excited, a little bit scared, to be honest with you, but really excited about the fact that we got through October. September, October historically are usually nasty months in the stock market. So we got through those windows. We're here now basically into early November. As I sort of talked about in yesterday's video, feeling less worried about the economy rolling over and more about thinking just more along the lines of its political risk. Maybe we'll have some sort of scandal out of, the American executive branch here, which might cool the enthusiasm of the broader market. I think, as we've been talking about for quite a while, the broader market itself is actually sort of in correction mode, if you will, but the correction is relatively tempered, so that's encouraging to see. At some point, this thing will play itself out, and the broader market will start getting back into the bull mode, and we might go through an even more violent face rep here if the indexes just don't roll over. There's no doubt about it. In the short term, our indicators are heavily overbought. And actually, this is a really good, we're going to be covering this for the level oneers over, I guess, in 2 weeks' time, but really good analogy of the concept of embeddedness. And I'm also thinking, too, about, you know what I'm thinking? Honestly, this is what I'm thinking. Here we go. I'm thinking that it is right now about the year 1947. That's what I'm thinking right now. So if anybody can figure out the crazy logic behind Brian's thinking, then maybe you can understand what my expectations are going forward, especially for the level oneers that just did the strategic planning and trying to think about the big picture and what sort of the world is trying to look like now on the other side of the end of the Cold War, and demographically the transition in generations and the new generation starting to try and take a hold. A whole bunch of sort of institutions from the previous generations, things like pre-Great Depression, basically being cast aside for sort of a whole new world, and they called it the nifty 50s. The stock market bull market through the 50s and the 60s, early 60s was dominated by new industry names, right? Things that served that particular sector of the economy in the post-World War II world. So things like Procter and Gamble, IBM, of course, grew into fruition, Boeing, So, I think that's really kind of the world that we have to think about. And then also, too, we have to ask ourselves, what does a world look like that is $18 trillion in liquidity different than, say, like the year 2000 world? So some stuff to ponder, really thinking about this over long term. If anything, I kind of think that stock market breaks now if we're actually fortunate and we get it, next recession, that kind of stuff, I think are actually like the buying opportunities of lifetimes. So while I don't think it's advisable to chase embedded markets, if and when we do get some serious political scandal that knocks the market down, those I think are going to be buying opportunities of lifetimes. And it's, well, not lifetimes, over the next, say, 20, 30 years. So if anything, everybody who's made a bunch of money in crypto, try and think about what are the industries that are going to do really well with this new crypto technology. And how can I either A, invest in crypto to play that industry, or B, find the companies in those industries and their earnings are going to go bananas over the next 10, 15 years as they leverage that technology. That's what I think everybody here should be really concentrating on over the next, say, 2 or 3 years. Okay, so that's enough of Brian's rhetoric. We sort of talked a little bit about the fact that I really don't think that a quote-unquote bottom is in the altcoin market. We have a good chunk of our audience is very, crypto-oriented, so I'll steer the conversation primarily towards crypto for the rest of the conversation here today. I don't think we can really call a bottom the seasonal bottom. Everything starts lifting until this fully washes itself out. We came really close about a month or so ago. On the medium term, we got fairly washed out. But, at short term, they had some pretty big dead cat bounces. I hope everybody's, got their open orders working. In fact, over the weekend on to give, I actually missed another double because I was a little bit lazy. So, just because Brian's been doing this for 20, 30 years, that doesn't mean he can't get complacent and miss trades. So, hey, I even do it. But it was interesting. I was so, concerned about getting my booking my doubles that I actually sold. I sold the whole darn position on one pot coin today. I had 2 sell half on a double orders working, and boom, boom. That means you sold the whole damn thing, Brian. Way to go. So it's always an adventure in this game. Got the orders to buy positions, buy them right back in. And I suppose, how ironic, the abs, we'll look at the coin in a bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm buying these names right back off of the bottoms here recently. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Actually, these is like second, third, and fourth cars by the time we get to this. In fact, one coin that I sold today, it was a sell half on a double order that was filled. I've had this coin on the book since 2014. So, and it was just yet another, the coin doubled, so out goes another half, right? Isn't that cool? Man, I love that strategy. So anyway, lots of fun in the market. I suppose we should take a moment and talk a little about ye old Bitcoin. The general message, as was with the broiler chickens and everything, is just, welcome to the top of the market. It's awfully fun. There's no accident that all you guys are here and you're all jazzed about crypto. This is a very uppy market, and we're at the top. Public always comes in at the top. And it was interesting, one of our alumni, Tim, a.k.a. Gravity, don't see him on the site too much anymore, but he was basically tweeting out top of the market day, and that we saw something like Coinbase is adding like 100 million gazillion new members on an hourly basis or some crazy statistic. So don't be shocked, right? This is in fact, the only thing we're missing to actually call the top of this cycle now is maybe this guy coming back in. As soon as we see this guy coming back in, then we know, oh boy, there's going to be some real chop. As it stands right now, we've started the week on a bit of a down note. The euphoria that was coming into the weekend has sort of ebbed, And of course, we do have very big fundamental catalysts coming up here. If we look, and just in simplest terms, if I just look at this simple range, you can see 38.2 sitting right now at about $5,000. Don't be shocked, everybody watching this, don't be shocked over the coming weeks if we see price back at $5,000. It shouldn't shock you whatsoever. This is an extremely volatile market, and we're actually hitting some levels where, you know, people that were actually interested in short ideas through the weekend, I was like, hats off to you. That fucking takes balls, stepping up and saying, all right, I'm ready to start thinking about shorting here. And one gentleman in particular in the lounge, I can't remember who it was off the top of the head, I was actually quite impressed with the fact that everybody else is like, bull, 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 bots are long, bots. And he's like, well, I got this short setup working. Sure looks pretty solid. What do you think, guys? And I had to say, you know what? It does look solid. So, and that's the great part about trading, guys. Nothing's written in stone about any of this. And really, even your bulletproof setups are going to fail sometimes. It's just, you know, if anything, it's exactly like this screen right here. You got to step right up and place your bets. And life is a gamble, right? The key here is when you're right, you got to make sure you get paid. But you will be wrong. And I guess the point that I just make is I was very impressed with some people last night. We're kind of like, gee whiz, this is looking rather toppy. I'm thinking kind of short up here. So, you know, just a review of how I was sort of stanced heading into the weekend. As long as we kept making higher highs and higher lows, I was like, it's bull. And when I drew these interesting bot levels, I noticed that the long setup level happened to be right off of this very tight little consolidation range. So I liked the level. It was really interesting to watch as the market gyrated along. And we were even in the broiler chicken show yesterday, we were pointing out how this kind of looked like a little cup and handle here. And if we got a pop through the top there, oh boy, this thing was about ready to take off. Do you guys remember that? Was anybody in the broiler chicken show yesterday? And I actually left for Liam and I said, everybody just watch. If we go up through the top here, this thing could just freak out. And it totally went the other direction. Isn't that funny? So if anything, pretty good eye why you don't front run these. You had to see the breakout through the top there and it just never came. So boosh. Now, the interesting thing, I even posted in the lounge yesterday, I was like, you know, this is a pretty big number. And if people are starting to see these M tops and divergences, and they were starting to get chicken shit and just like, you know what, I want to get the hell out of here. I actually said I wouldn't blame you. The classic bot trader, no emotion involved here. We just simply on the 50% level being hit, we move our stop to scratch. And if the market comes back, you just simply walk away. Just say, well, next bus in 10 minutes. It's interesting how on the tag of this, there was an immediate bounce back. So ironically enough, if your alarms went off and then you just liquidated the position, you actually got filled at a better price. But as you can see, as we're speaking right now, this is failing here, and this is sort of why these rules are built in here. Long and short of it here, on the failure of this level to hold the breakout level, you're best served just to hop off and just, you know, next trade, it'll come along, wait for the setup. So if anything, I think that makes sense, what's happening even now. We are outside of a kill zone too, which leads me to believe that this is sort of free-flowing price action here. This could come off a bit. You know, even now when we look at this, hopefully everybody looks at this and goes, oh, I see a AB equals CD. So just to give you an idea of where we're going to shoot for in the short term, kind of thinking boom, 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 boom. So it could easily come right back down into these levels. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And now we have to start, you know, so with the short-term setup starting to fail here, I think if anything, we should probably, you know, go back to these kind of conversations. What's going on here in the bigger picture? So, you know, a couple things that jumped out at me. First off, how do these silly coins like to act when they head into their forks? Is this one of these sort of buy the rumor, sell the news scenarios that would paint this kind of price action? Is this what's going on right now with the anticipation fork date right there? Boosh, could be. We are well above even the 13 period moving average. And as we sort of pointed out with those AB equals CDs off lower time frames, I think we could come back and tag this 13 EMA pretty well. But what scares me about this is you'll notice the megaphone pattern, there's the top of the megaphone. And then this trend line off of these lows, there's that intersection. So the interesting thing here is that this candle, and this candle, who can tell me what kind of candle pattern that is? Which, you know, gee whiz, what a shock, happens right at the top of a bloody megaphone. Anybody know what that looks like? And we're actually getting some pretty good definition here too. Let's see, I'll give you a hint. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Brian just having some fun. So can you all see the Empire? Way to go, guys. Right? The Goonies. Yeah, that's what it is. We should probably post that in the lounge. All right, so here we go, folks. So all those that are shorting inclined, get your goddamn spidey senses up. You know, there's the markets are trying to speak to us. I don't know how deep we go here today. I got a funny feeling, right? We're probably going to have to complete this AB equals CD. And now can you see that sort of fractal pattern developing off the lower time frames? Can you see that? Yeah, head and shoulders. In fact, a couple people, there was another gentleman who posted the head and shoulders pattern in the lounge. You could make the argument that there's even an inclining neckline, head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, fail. That's a bit aggressive. I think if anything, I kind of like nice horizontal. You could go shoulder, head, shoulder, or neckline, head, neckline, shoulder. If we do market symmetry, right? So what is sort of that fractal sort of orchestrated behavioral pattern? If, say, we start from here and we just go to the top, if we were just to do this in a perfect sort of fractal fashion, what should that look like? Something along the lines of that. It's pretty close, eh? See how we have this pullback, counter trend rally, dump, right? So if anything, I think probably over the next few hours, I'm going to be looking for this kind of action here. If anything, why don't we leave that on the screen? I'm not quite sure where we should start that from. Do we start it from there or not? That's a tough one. It almost looks like it's like shoulder to shoulder here, right? With the head right there. Sets up a sloppy neckline. But, you know, maybe what we'll do is we'll just keep that on top like that. And let's see how this behaves going forward. Okay, so long and short of it here is, and this is the interesting thing, I felt really badly for guys that were really trying to buckle down and become day traders, and they commit to one, market state setup, maybe a range market state, maybe a trend market state, and then the market goes, I'm going to commit to ranging strategies, and the market starts trending. And then, okay, fine, I'm going to switch to trending strategies, and the market goes back to ranging. If anything, I've been thinking about you, Wayne. It must be so frustrating for you. But I'm thinking now we're sort of back to transitioning into ranging strategies. So let's see how this plays out. My hunch is against these lows here, we should probably find buyers. And against the highs, we should probably find sellers. I also think, too, that there is a potential for, and I guess, I don't know what chart I have it off of. I think I have it off of this chart. There's also, I'm seeing that we seem to be going through relatively consistent consolidation windows where the price enters the window and exits the window at almost exactly the same level. Can everybody see that? Oh, that's so cool. Enter the level, exit the level, almost exactly the same level. Isn't that interesting? So, and then the rally window, boom, boom, and boom, boom, almost exactly, boom, boom. Isn't that cool? I thought that was so interesting. So consolidation windows seem to be running at about 52 bars, and the trending windows seem to be running about 30 bars. And I noticed, we just transitioned from a trend window into a range window. So kind of like what I've done with the long-term Dow gold ratio charts, I sort of paint different scenarios. If the current consolidation looks like this scenario, it'll be one color. If it looks like the other scenario, it'll be another. So you can see I painted the orange consolidation and I painted the green consolidation. And I think this sort of gives us a roadmap of what to expect. As well, too, I noticed that after this rally, we had a 50% tag of that range. After this rally, we had a 50% tag of that range. So my hunch is after this rally, wherever the top is, we should have a 50% tag of the range. I still think that we need to get up and tag this 1618. It just would be a natural thing for price to do. And you'll notice both times, right, we had a big rally, pull back, and then a move to new highs. Big rally, pull back, then move to new highs. So if we do that same sort of thing, big rally, pull back, move to new highs, that validates that 1618. And I also think, you know, like the lower time bot setup, I still think the market wants to shoot up into there, but that's just pure speculation. Well, notice that this big rally, this pullback, that's going to happen all through this FUD event. And I'm thinking, you know, 50% levels, 38.2s, 5,000, sort of in that area. We talked about it just a moment ago. Don't be shocked through this event that you see that. But at the same time, I also think that once that event is done, I think we're actually going to go to new highs again. Just drive everybody crazy. But that's sort of how I'm leaning right now. So we're probably going to be talking about this this kind of scenario for the next little while. Let's see how this plays out. I think the first objective here is we have to wait for the market to actually show signs of topping. You can see the empire. It's interesting. If they make this candle really deep and then bring it back through the end of the day, it might set up a nice little tail, sort of bull-bear battle zone we like to talk about. So let's see what they do here. You know, now keep in mind, one of these scenarios was just the straight dump, right? We might just dump straight down here into this 5,000 area. You don't know. It's just the way the markets are. But I'm kind of thinking that the market's going to set up some sort of candle pattern here for us to take cue. So we're going to be, you know, spidey senses, watching really closely how price acts through here. My feeling is, especially this trendline confluence and the megaphone, we're getting awfully toppy here. Okay, that's my Bitcoin summary. It's 9:30 here, so that's not bad. Hopefully everybody has a pretty good idea what I'm thinking about here in the market. I think that there are opportunities abound. If anything, what I would recommend is you start concentrating on coin versus US dollar relationships and just go hunting coin by coin by coin. I think, you know, what we saw today, I think, is a perfect example that this is less now, in my opinion, a Bitcoin story, and it is more an individual crypto story. So if your crypto story is half decent, you could actually see massive rallies. And really, I would argue, we banged off doubles in THC. Great trade. In fact, so great, I sold the whole damn thing, took profits, and now I see prices come back down. The interesting thing about this is, can you get everybody see how they left a nice big juicy price gap right down basically where we originally bought this thing? So I just went and just threw my order right back at the lows. But oh man, it sure was nice to get that fill there. Just like, holy crap, ring that register, baby. And on another Potcoin, we got just an insane fill. And this one, we've actually owned this coin since 2014. We got a nice fill there, got a nice fill there. And hey, I had order working, got a nice fill there. And you notice that the price is all the way back down here. I might just go buy this back here. So the question here is it just because we're such great pickers? Is it because Bitcoin is so wonderful that these coins are rallying right now? No. Ironically enough, you know what's rallying these damn things? Is that a major news source like this runs an article like this. Oh, yeah, pot coins is a smart industry. It's how smart weed can be, right? And, of course, you got to pay for their damn service, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, the point here is that, and this is why I say, guys, seriously, let's all put our heads together. What are the big issues that are facing our society? How do we figure cryptocurrencies into the driverless car industry? Is this kind of like IBM's Internet of Things? Is this was why Michael's XLM is doing so well? Maybe. You know, I noticed that the Pink coin and the Cure coin, they were popping, right? Is that a function of the donation industry and that to give, right? Isn't that you know, I thought this was interesting too. I put out this article today about Bjork wants more people to get into cryptocurrencies. And oh, by the way, you buy her latest album by buying her cryptocurrency. Fuck currency, you know, fuck the local currency. She's doing all her business in cryptocurrencies now. And what I love about this is, in essence, this is basically financial freedom. We are disconnecting from the system. And when I was talking with that gentleman just last week, Carpe Noctem guy, and I said that if we can get to the point of decentralized exchanges, then really there's no point in us even using US dollars or Canadian dollars anymore. It becomes meaningless. So it's just shocking, and it's so cool, the evolution of our society. I sure hope we can get there, because it's just going to change everything. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic there. Okay, let's go maybe take a look at some of yours, and maybe I did see a couple requests about BCH. People were commenting about BCH. You know, like this XMR. I just tweeted this out to the public. I mean, the setups are coming in. Are you a trader? Do you trade the bot? If you do, there's the levels. Gotta live by sword, die by sword. If you're right, you get paid 3 times as much as if you're wrong. And that's the key to this. All right? Does everybody understand that basic principle? Is anybody here watching today that's sort of relatively new to the site and is like, geez, I don't know what the idea you're talking about here? No? Yeah, any. Yeah, I'm new and so is my wife. Well, slightly over your head, Justin, go and watch on the library in the setups. Did a nice little video, YouTube explanation of how the bot works. Right? All right, so have some fun in the library. There's tons of resources in here if you have any questions. Okay, so does anybody remember where I think I remember we looked at that INSN. BCH, I think, did we look at him? BCH, and of course this is, do you watch BCH? Do you watch BCC? Are we looking at this in Bitcoin terms? Are we looking at this in US dollar terms? What do we want to do here? Oh, so many variables. BCH on Phoenix. Well, at least that narrows down the exchange. Phoenix. Well, we'll look at it versus Bitcoin. Oh, big ugly tail. So there's lots of unfinished business there. They put in a short-term bottom. I don't know. I mean, this is choppy. But this looks like a heck of a lot of other altcoins at the moment, too. Definitely probably have to come back and fill in this tail at some point down the road. You can see they tried to put in some sort of base here. I suppose pullbacks against the base aren't bad, but when I see this, my hunch is we got to go back and fill that in at some point. BCH versus the dollar. All right, so there is that bottom versus the dollar. So there's your trade. I think it's pretty obvious right there. You know, middle of the road. Nothing really to get excited about right now. If anything, coming into selling levels. So, and nothing too exciting there. EOS on HIT BTC. Wow. Is that's that hit bid or whatever? EOS. It B, that's over here, eh? I get the currency selection correct. Well, definitely the bottom end of the range, no doubt about that. Actually, you know, this is a really good example of like that concept of saucer bottom. You sort of see saucer bottoms coming in here. And I remember I did this like a month or two ago, and I was like, well, into the end of the year, we're going to see a bunch of saucer bottoms. So I don't know how deep this has to be, but, you know, you can definitely see it's looking something like this. You can see nice solid resistance level there. So probably going to play around in here. You really would like to see these lows be the lowest lows. And you'll know it's off to the races if we can get back up through these levels here. Any coins out? 326 million, so it ain't late. $295 million market cap, so $1/3 of $1 billion. Woo! This is like China's Ethereum, isn't it? Something like that. So, you know, I don't mean to be rude to Ethereum people, but in essence, that's basically a Ponzi scheme, right? As long as they keep issuing more coins, the price of Ethereum will keep going up. As soon as they stop issuing more coins, then the story's over. People actually have to justify using Ethereum. I think the Ethereum people say that their coin's too expensive. They would like their coin to be cheaper. So really, I think this is just a question of can they get the ICO game going, and can they start issuing coins off of this thing? If they can, then it's a Ponzi. This thing will be bid up as more people have to come in and buy, right? That's just basically, I can understand the whole Ponzi argument there. Totally makes sense to me. Question is, what are the, you know, at the end of the day, can you eat one of these things? Is that going to keep you alive? No. Are you, no, I didn't say it has anything to do with ETH, San. I think they're kind of like similar, aren't they? Isn't EOS like inside China or something like that? Yeah, they're competitor. You also stuck in YouTube, or I suck in YouTube? What are you saying? Thanks for letting me know I suck on YouTube. Is that what you're saying, Payman? Yeah. NEO. Oh, that's not this EOS. All right, so I got the net symbols wrong. EOS is something completely different. That's why I need a co-host on these darn things. EOS is from the guys of Steemit and BitShares. Why are we right here? Oh, thank you, gentlemen. All right, so fundamental story. Somebody figure out what the hell these guys do. And the question at the end of the day, guys, you know, kind of like, why are the pot coins rallying? Because Joe Sixpack says, hey, I can use pot coins to make my life more efficient, more profitable, blah, 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 blah. If you can figure out how I can use one of these things to actually make, you know, what is the utility of these things, I'm a little worried about the, you know, and don't get me wrong, I mean, as long as the trend continues, we can keep playing it. About coins that all their sole purpose in life is just to spit out other coins. I'd like to, you know, have a little bit more functionality of the coin. What does it actually do? Somebody tell me a story. Where's that Mo guy? He's always talking about stories. Give me a story that I can sink my teeth into. Okay, so frankly speaking, I don't know what the story is to EOS. So, and if anything, this is a really good sort of sales pitch for us to really get that. You know, Sjord had put together a nice little spreadsheet, and I know guys were sending a spreadsheet around that we had on the site. I think it would be a really good resource for the site. This is our weekly commodity trend survey. This is not what I'm talking about, but Sjord for the new site is going to have sort of search functionality and stuff on the platform. So if we could, and I also saw somebody had posted a really cool website that sort of had all that information all put together on one page. So maybe it would be a good idea for the new site to have that sort of search function built in so we know what the fundamental story is. Brian goes blabbing away and comparing it to coins that he shouldn't be comparing them to. All right, so technically speaking, you know my 2 cents. Let's maybe work on what the fundamental drivers are here, Kevin, going forward, and I'll lean. You know, the great part about it is we got some super smart crypto dudes in this community. So let's all maybe, yeah, that's the page, Jeremy, just posting it here. This is a pretty sick page, and you know, we actually would like to try and offer this kind of information. So we're trying to figure out how to do this without scraping this guy's website. But frankly speaking, it's a darn impressive website. So yeah, thank you, Jeremy. In fact, we could probably just go EOS and actually get an idea what the heck these guys actually do. From the EOS white paper, the EOS.io software introduces a new blockchain vertical and horizontal scaling by creating operating system like okay, so there you go. Merry Christmas. Is that enough to justify current fundamental valuations? That's always a tough one. What I would say, if you are interested in these names, is try and figure out what the fundamental drivers are going forward. Quite often, these things rally into some sort of, you know, whether it be Bloomberg is going to do some sort of front page article, whether it be CNBC is going to highlight them, whether it's going to be a new wallet, a new sort of, you know, they're presenting at a public forum, blah, 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 blah. What's the fundamental driver? So if you can find that out for me, rock on. And Bugra's already got, yeah, and remember, you know, even recently we were looking at a coin and I was like, oh, they got a fundamental driver coming up here, but turns out it was 2016, eh? So really important to just go to the website. Oh, here we go. What's this? Current distribution ends in 5 hours and 15 minutes. So there's some sort of fundamental driver going on here. So, maybe this is a buy the rumor, and then once this event happens, it might be sell the news. So be careful there, eh? All right. So interesting. Thank you for those resources, and hopefully, Kevin S., if you're following, you know, this is the kind of stuff that you need to incorporate into your sort of analysis process. All right. What's next? MYST. MYST. Yeah, just no bottom yet. It's one of these sort of ICOs that comes out, just craters. They put in a little W. My hunch is, and let's just see what this price is. This is 24.5. What do you think the double? Did they get to 5,000? Yep. So that you can see the, you know, the guys who manufactured this bottom, they got their freebies. Interesting how they tried to rally it in to fill this monstrous gap up here, but couldn't. Just ran out of steam right there. You can see, I would say this is a major objective brick wall going forward, that level right there. So, you know, if you did play this bottom down here, I can see Kavarkanators and all that kind of stuff. Sure hope you got yourself a free position on this rally. Coming down, I suppose Nanny nibbles against these lows isn't the worst idea, but you can see we're underwater now on that. I don't think it would be a good idea to add to this position until you start actually seeing some sort of structure like this develop here. And on counter trend rallies, I can see we got, obviously this is a huge level here going forward. And my hunch is this will probably come back right down against these lows. And I can also see that as a gap is going to be a big level, and that as a gap is going to be a big level. So those are probably your springtime rally objectives. Once it gets up into here, then it'll probably back off, come back against these lows, and then if this thing is for real, it'll put in a big honk and big fat W. Something along the lines like this, right? And if this thing really is for real, it'll take off and away we go. So, you know, as a great comparison, year after year after year, I'm going to constantly make reference to this. What coin do you think I'm going to suggest that we look at that looks almost identical to this? And it literally 90% of all these altcoins do this. You guys already know it. No, library credits, China Tim, LBC. I mean, it's basically so cliche. It is basically the crypto market. So you saw that image, and then look at this image, right? Can you see the same thing? So in essence, that's those traffic areas, same sort of idea. There was that counter trend rally, right, which generated the free trade for the sharks. Then they rip it down, forms a new bottom, rallies right back up into that previous traffic area, has to come right back down against the lows. And now, if this thing can come down here and W here, then you know that this thing is legit. That makes sense? You see the similarities? So this thing is like basically about a year ahead of that other story. And it's actually interesting to watch. It's almost cliche the way this stuff goes, guys. It really is. This is like very natural progress. So, you know, on just like this one generated a pretty darn nice rally here. Lots and lots of money made here. I don't see any reason why that other one can't do the same thing this coming spring. Missed, right? Right. So I don't see any reason why this can't do exactly the same thing in the next spring. You see the similarities? Quite remarkable, really. And if you haven't seen that before, take a screenshot, throw it in your journal. Gee whiz, there's a bit of seasonality involved here. All right, I know you already talked about ETH looking like monster, but that money gotta go somewhere after BTC blows off the steam. Okay. Carpe Noctem, I see you constantly save your charts. Do you keep a trading journal? Well, unfortunately, I guess that was posted the day we did the interview. Sorry about that, guys. We did, for future reference, Daniel, yeah, Daniel, you've been around the site for a while. Remember we were passing, if I do an interview with people, I passed around that Q&A sheet, right? Hey, YouTube stopped. Is that, are we still recording here? Can you guys hear me in the room? Test, test, test. Yeah, in the Hangout. Yeah. All right. No? Yes? No? What's going on? Why does Roham say no? Now I'm confused. Oh, now it says it's working. You are good. All right. Okay, so let's just get you guys on your way. We got about maybe 5-10 minutes left here. SAFEX. Oh, that's interesting. Is it right to convert BTC to USDT now 7,300? Right? Right is always an interesting word. You know, when with trading, there is no such thing as right or wrong. It's just really a question of, well, why did you buy Bitcoin to begin with? What is it you wanted to get out of it? What are you using? Are you using Bitcoin to I think he said right, not rich. Lambos. You know, I mean, if you bought Bitcoins in the triple digits, oh my goodness. I mean, and you're not taking some profits here? I think anywhere here, if you want to get paid, ring that register. But do I have an outright sell signal? Bitcoin's over? Not quite yet. We're getting close. It wouldn't surprise me. Keep in mind too, Roham, you're here, aren't you? Didn't your buddies? Didn't they have 7,500 as an important number? Right. Isn't your yeah? So I mean, if we do top here and this is the top, I don't think anybody should be shocked. I think if anything, what would probably happen here is if this does start to top out and we start looking heavy, I might start placing some sell orders up in reload zones and stuff to start spoon feeding again. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. If anything, I'm actually kind of pleased with all these sell orders that I got my Bitcoin balance back up a bit, because my Bitcoin balance was getting quite drained there. Now I'm back up on the Trex account. I got about 3.25 BTC, so at least then I've got about 2 orders of 2 Bitcoin of orders. So now I got about a 1.125 of Bitcoin I could actually let go up here if I felt like it. And frankly speaking, spoon feeding a little bit more up top here isn't a terrible idea whatsoever. Okay. SAFEX, is that a stock? Is that a coin? SAFEX. Safe Exchange. Is this like wow. This is something that ooh, look at that cute little W. Something I might be interested in. It's coming right. Ooh, yeah, it's coming right back down. You know, if anything, guys, perfect example. Too far, too fast. What has to happen in too far, too fast? We have to bring it right back down to the original bottom. So, if anything, not bad that you're starting to think down in this area. I really like that. If anything, what we should be doing, hello. What am I gonna, who can read my mind? What am I thinking here before I even go? Excellent, JF, excellent, Tom. And when we scroll over, does everybody see what I see here? Maybe we'll hide the moving averages. Anybody see sort of, gee whiz, that's probably an area we should pay attention to. I see, all right. There, boom. Hopefully, who asked about this? David Davis. Hopefully you can see that big old hole on the charts. I also see a cheeky little one right down here. So if the story does totally fall apart, I could see them bring it down in here. Interesting though, notice the price action is very clean through all of this though, eh? Isn't that interesting? Very clean. So there are your levels. Let's see where that lines up with. Well, we're getting close, eh? So not bad. We're within shouting distance. Isn't that cool? You can look down and go, hey, I'm down here. Come on down here. Not quite a W yet. So I don't think there's any hurry. But, you know, considering that's 58 and we're at 121 and these lows were 83, could you just like start an accumulation strategy through here? I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, Euro US dollar. Oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, what do you want out of me, Tom? Jesus. Never can make that guy happy. EC, that's not going to cut it. E6. Problem is I've been a Euro bear for a while here. Look at this. You know, you just actually wanted to to rub this into my nose, didn't you? I mean, we spent the whole damn summer looking for the top, right? The whole damn summer, and that's good. So at least you took the trade. If anything, I'm worried that, you see how they've left that gap up there, Tom? This looks a little suspicious. And maybe this might be like Trump indictment kind of thing. Bam! Right? Big candle, runs right up, fills in the gap. You know what this kind of looks like to me also? Is this looks like the, I think it was the oil chart, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, Bitcoin, we see this happen all the time in Bitcoin. So at some point there is going to be this counter trend rally. I really do think so. But, you know, long and short of it here is somebody just pointed out, you know, we have a very well-defined top here. And what was really cool about this top was that, and I think it was, you know, I have been talking to you guys for a while about how the US dollar, in my opinion, actually is at the end of a 17.5-year bear market. And at some point, it's going to turn back up. So what I found really cool about this was not only was this a Head and Shoulders, but it was also a Head and Shoulders within a Head and Shoulders. There's some sort of, massive, massive fractal. I mean, literally the definition of pivot. Like when we talk about our Canadian flag, what does change look like in nature? I mean, you literally can't get a better demonstration of that. I could definitely see, Tom, little, FU wicks up into here, kind of like this kind of action. Could totally see that. But I got a feeling, put a fork in the euro, she's done. And I suppose the whole stuff coming out of Spain, that's really going to just ratchet that, that whole region. I mean, I'll tell you this, there's no way in hell I would go and open up a business in Spain right now. I suppose if we do reload zones, yeah, I mean, everybody should, what am I thinking here? Is there some sort of pattern or something that we like to talk about off of structural and bottoms and 78.6s? It's too bad we don't have a nice little icon, right? We used to put the, well, just for fun because I didn't know what the hell to put, but we used to put, this guy would go eating here. What am I thinking? Who can fill in the blanks? Yeah, good old Kavarkinator, right? That is in essence Kavarkination. So, the interesting thing, 116 down to 107, that's like 10 full cents, eh? That's going to be a big chunk. I wouldn't be surprised that our sort of dead cat bounce kind of idea comes maybe on a 38.2 tag. So notice that that's in that area. That might even be a nice little Head and Shoulders target tag right up against these tails. So, that's probably what I'm thinking in euro terms right now. Which is interesting because we just did our currency analysis, and the one currency I'm waiting for to actually mark that this slide is done in the short term is waiting for that British pound to roll over on the weekly charts. As soon as it does, and maybe that means we need a bit more weakness out of euro, Swiss franc, that kind of stuff, breaks the British pound, then I think that all of the currencies are heading down in the same direction against the US dollar. That'll be sort of your pivot that we should actually start looking for this counter move back up. All right, so does that make sense, Tom? Right, we sort of talked about it a little bit. The only one that hasn't broken yet is the pound. And, maybe it's already done that this morning. This was as of yesterday. Is it B6? Boosh. Yeah, so you can see the pound will break on a loss of this level here. So as soon as that happens, then we'll know the final washout has come. It hasn't just quite come yet. So, okay, I think we'll leave the daily brief at that. It is 10 o'clock. Got lots of tutorials to do, so you all have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.